The Tennessee Titans just gave Jeffery Simmons the biggest defensive tackle contract in NFL history, but it's still an absolute steal. I'll explain why on today's edition of Locked On Titans.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland, Titans fans. Today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast is brought to you by Odoo. Great organizations win because operations matter. That's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/locked on. That's odoo.com/locked on. On today's show, we got to break down the breaking news. Jeffery Simmons gets a historic contract extension for the Tennessee Titans. I'm happy that this is done and out of the way. The Tennessee Titans got an absolute steal on this deal as well. But first and foremost, a historic contract for Jeffery Simmons. He gets 3 years, $105 million on an extension, $35 million per year on average, makes it the biggest defensive tackle contract in NFL history. Jeffery Simmons 100% deserved this extension. He had 2 years left on his contract, but no guaranteed money remaining. In the NFL world, that's just not something that a player of Jeffery Simmons' caliber is going to tolerate. And luckily, it wasn't a question of tolerance or not, because the Tennessee Titans got this thing done in the perfect timing. So Simmons doesn't have to hold out of training camp, doesn't have to miss any practices then. And again, that's why I'm glad that this is out of the way, because it just eliminates any distractions, any drama, any problems. We'll talk about why that is part of the larger idea of what I want the Tennessee Titans summer break to be about. But to have this happen on the final day of the last week before that summer break kicks off, it just feels like the culmination of an entire offseason of great stuff for the Titans. We get the coaching change that we're excited about. We get the new jerseys. We get the player additions in free agency and in the draft that we're excited about. Very good mandatory minicamp, very good organized team activities with good attendance and no injuries and no drama. And we're just talking about football. And this is another thing that adds on to that. Again, a historic deal for Jeffery Simmons that was 100% earned, right? Jeffery Simmons sets his personal best last year, 11 sacks, goes over that coveted double-digit sack mark for an interior defensive lineman, and Simmons fulfilled the prophecy. He truly has become the best interior defensive lineman in the NFL. I remember when he first really broke onto the scene in 2020, 2021, had those back-to-back, or 2021, 2022, had those back-to-back all second team all-pro seasons where he really established himself as a top 5 player at the position. But Aaron Donald was still around, Chris Jones more in his prime. We were like, all right, Simmons is in the conversation, but he's definitely not ahead of those two guys. As we stand here today, he is finally truly in that number one position that we thought that he could ascend to. It took a little bit of time. He had to grow up, right? He matured his body. I forget who it was. Somebody posted a picture of Jeffery Simmons in his first press conference and then this last one that he did on Wednesday at mandatory minicamp. And it's just like what he's done to make over his body. I've talked about his maturity level with some of the interviews he's done throughout this offseason, how he carries himself now. Remember, there were big-time risks about Jeffery Simmons. He was a top 5 talent in the NFL draft, but he had the incident, the violence incident. He had the ACL during training for the draft. Like, Jeffery Simmons was a big-time risk. And, a lot of players, when they get drafted, when there's risk on them, they say, oh, I'm going to prove them wrong. I'm going to prove you right. The owner took a chance on me. Thank you so much. And Jeffery Simmons has truly done that tenfold. On the field, off the field, he's the best player that we could ask for on the field. He has turned into the best version of Jeffery Simmons. Not only that, but he is a consummate professional and a leader in the locker room. He's the face of the franchise, with Cam Ward hopefully taking that over. But Simmons has been the face of the franchise since Derrick Henry left. Like, it's no question about it. And he is the best player on the team with no doubts, no questions. Again, the best defensive tackle in the entire NFL. And I think he's going to go to another level this year in this attacking defense that we talked about on Friday's episode, where I said Jeffery Simmons ain't leaving, and we went over his quotes. That's still a great listen, even now, knowing that the contract is done. But again, a historic deal that was totally earned for Jeffery Simmons. I'm glad this finally got done. But again, one thing that I think stands out to me is, although it's a historic contract for Jeffery Simmons, this is an absolute steal for the Tennessee Titans when you compare it to other defensive players in the NFL. And that's what I want to talk about as we break down this deal even more. Again, a great Friday, great way to go into summer break. Jeffery Simmons getting the extension that we've all been waiting on. And again, I'm going to explain why it's such a steal for the Tennessee Titans. Do want to let you know that today's bonus episode is brought to you by Odoo. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. You have one app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales to accounting to inventory to marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focus on growing the business instead of managing software. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working towards the same goal. And that's true in sports, just like it is in business. The Titans obviously think that Jeffery Simmons is something that can connect everything on the defensive side of the ball, so they know how important that connection can be. Great organizations win because operations matter. That's why you should get Odoo. Try for free at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon. Today's episode's also brought to you by Rugiet. Throughout the NHL Finals, every shift has mattered, every moment has been intense, and everything has come down to execution when the pressure is at its highest. Just like athletes must be ready to perform when the puck drops, a lot of guys want that same sense of readiness and confidence in their own lives too. That's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet offers modern, performance-focused treatments designed to help you be ready when it matters. Their top option, Rugiet Ready, is a fast-acting, clinically formulated treatment that comes in a simple mint that dissolves under your tongue. It's designed for convenience with fast absorption and effects that can begin in about 15 minutes and last up to 36 hours. They also offer Go Long, which is formulated to support both performance and control for longer lasting needs. It's all about helping guys feel prepared, confident, and in control. Head to Rugiet.com/lockedonnhl and get 15% off your ED treatment. That's RUGIET.com/lockedonnhl for 15% off. Rugiet, performance medicine for men. Titans fans, let's continue today's emergency edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. Big Jeff gets a historic deal, $35 million per year, making him the highest paid defensive tackle in NFL history. Again, completely earned for Jeffery Simmons. Happy to get it out of the way, but an absolute steal for the Tennessee Titans. Before I tell you why, I do want to thank you for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed. Again, it's your team every day. Speaking of every day, if you want to be a true Locked On Titans every dayer, you got to join the Locked On Titans Every Dayer Club. Hit the link down below in the description. You're going to get commercial-free versions of the podcast in your favorite podcast app. That's worth the price of admission alone right there. You're going to get added to a Locked On Titans group chat with me and a bunch of other everydayers where I'm giving you my immediate reaction to all the big news before I even go live, getting mailbag questions, chatting it up with you guys about everything Titans. Hit the link down below. Join the Locked On Titans Every Dayer Club now. But with that being said, again, this is an absolute steal. You start to look at some of the biggest contracts in the NFL on the defensive side of the ball. And you could argue maybe that some of these players are better than Jeffery Simmons. I mean, would you rather have Will Anderson, Micah Parsons, Aiden Hutchinson, Myles Garrett than Jeffery Simmons? What about TJ Watt, Danielle Hunter, Max Crosby, Nick Bosa? What about someone like that? See, for me personally, with where we're at right now, Nick Bosa's injuries concerns, I'd rather have Jeffery Simmons. Bosa's at $34 million per year. So Simmons just got $1 more million per year on average than Nick Bosa, and I think that's fair. Max Crosby, that would be a close one. Max Crosby's a very good player. Crosby's getting $35.5 million. I think that's completely fair. Danielle Hunter, excellent player. I'd rather have Jeffery Simmons, and Danielle Hunter's getting $41 million per year for TJ Watt. I know that TJ Watt is a household name, so this would sound like a hot take, but I would rather have Jeffery Simmons than TJ Watt right now. I think TJ Watt is still a good player, but he's not a top 5 defensive player in the entire NFL anymore, in my opinion. Myles Garrett, I'd rather have Myles Garrett. Aiden Hutchinson, $45 million a year for Aiden Hutchinson. He's a good player, maybe a touch overrated, in my opinion. I still think he's good, but I'd rather have Jeffery Simmons than Aiden Hutchinson. Now, Hutchinson's 25 years old, and Jeffery Simmons is 29, so that's why he's getting more money. Micah Parsons, even coming off the ACL, still give me Micah Parsons. Will Anderson, yeah, okay, you got me. 24-year-old Will Anderson, I'm taking that over 29-year-old Jeffery Simmons. But the point is, Big Jeff is right around Sauce Gardner, Trent McDuffie, Chris Jones, Nick Bosa, Max Crosby, $5 million less than Danielle Hunter. Like, if you stack up the best defensive players in the NFL, Simmons isn't more than 4, 5, 6. Like, and they're getting him at, 8, 9, 10 in terms of average per year. That's a steal for the Titans. I know Simmons is an older player, but defensive tackles and interior defensive linemen, offensive linemen tend to age gracefully in the NFL because it's not all about explosion and being out in space. You're in a phone booth. Technique, power, strength, understanding, leverage, those things can last. And it's not like Jeffery Simmons. I mean, Jeffery Simmons is a freak explosive athlete, but it's not like he's one of these twitched up edge rushers who's going to fall apart when he turns 30 and not have the burst to get it done anymore. That's not going to be the case. Jeffery Simmons is going to be able to overpower people and win with his technique in his hands on the interior for 5, 6 more years, I believe. So to get Simmons at this number, to get this done now, get it out of the way, and continue what I am calling the summer of boring for the Tennessee Titans. I want it to be the summer of boring. No drama, no news, no concerns, no injuries, nothing. Just quiet, peaceful work. Honestly, that's all we could hope for in any of our lives. Just quiet, peaceful work. That's what it's all about. But that's what I'm saying, and this is a great start towards that. Simmons getting a record deal. Vibes are high in the locker room. Everybody's happy. It's a good moment. People are celebrating. The picture the Titans posted, their social media team, with Jeff in the Boss Hog outfit like Taylor did back in the day with his big blue Titans blue truck. It's just the vibes are immaculate around the team right now. And if we can keep that, we don't need to make the momentum move forward. We don't got to pull the rope more towards us and gain ground. If the Titans can just hold throughout the summer, just be in this holding pattern, we're going to be great, being quiet and boring, and then kicking off training camp healthy and hungry. So glad this got done. What a great Friday in America. The U.S. Open is going, USA soccer team, Big Jeff gets his extension. I mean, what 3 things could be more elite than that on a Friday in America in the summer? I mean, come on, man. But with that being said, that is going to do it for today's bonus emergency edition. Big Jeff gets a big time bag. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.